Call the meeting to order and open with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks to everybody for coming to our meeting tonight. This is the October 2nd, 2019 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Roll call.
Mr. Boggs.
Here.
Mr. Epperson.
Here.
Mr. Begarow.
Here.
Mr. McGowan.
Here.
Mr. Ripley. Ms. Rogers. Mr. Truax.
Okay. We do have a quorum, barely. So just as a reminder, since it's a body of 7 positions and we have 4, we need to, any decisions have to be unanimous basically tonight. So always want to mention that if that's, because that's a little unusual. Okay, moving on the agenda, first section or the next section will be old business. You want rezoning application, CON 1804, that one's tabled.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask the commission members what's your pleasure on this. It's been out there for almost a year and a half now.
Have they been checking in?
They have sporadically. After it was tabled, I would get contacted once every 1 or 2 months, and they inquired what the next steps were to move forward. I spoke with them about it. Earlier this summer, I met with an engineer and their attorney regarding this. They seemed interested in moving forward, but every time we've been in contact, it's never proceeded past that. So they've been in contact, but not since earlier this summer on this application.
It's been on there for over a year.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's been, 17 months.
Yeah, probably not gonna start anything this time of year.
So any thoughts about asking staff to contact them and get some kind of a clear direction on when they're coming back, or if they're coming back, and if not, maybe even give a date, a certain period of time, 30 days, 60 days, whatever, and if we haven't heard, we'll move it forward and vote on what we have. It works. That's not reasonable. Do you need a motion for that, or just a consensus? Is that?
I think the consensus would be fine, so we'll contact the applicant and get a time frame.
Okay, thank you. Item B is ZON 1903, the Grand Communities for the property on Summit.
That should be coming back next month.
Okay, those are the 2 old business items. Under new business, we have replat application RAP 19001. This is for the property 239 Sims Road, and requesting approval of a replat. Okay.
Yep, as you said, this is replat number 19001. The applicant here is Mr. Isaac Liller at 2239 Sims Road. It's currently 2 parcels, total acres of 1.4 acres, zone R87 medium low density residential, and they are requesting approval of a replat for lots 19 and 20 of the Sims Garden subdivision pursuant to section 1113.48 Catastrophe Code. As we look here is the area map of the 2 parcels right here at the end of Sims Road, both of them outlined in yellow. So again, it's 2 0.7 acre parcels for a total of 1.4 acres. At the addressed parcel, 239 Sims Road, there's a approximately 1,688 square foot single family home that was built around 1950, and the other parcel is currently vacant and partially wooded. The original subdivision, Sims Gardens, was platted in July of 1960, contained about 30 lots at approximately 0.7 acres each for a total of 22.86 acres. And of those original 30, 26 remain. Lots 7 and 8 and lots 17 and 18 have since been replatted into singular lots. So here's a look at the original plat. Dixon Road here to the west, and Sims Road, and the 2 lots 19 and 20 here at the end. proposal is to replat lots 19 and 20 into one lot. The proposed dimensions are approximately 200 feet width of the right-of-way and 304.5 feet length. The applicant stated in their narrative statement that the purpose for the replat is that they wish to build an accessory building on the adjoining lot. Proposed building is 24 feet by 36 feet, and it's to be used to store lawn equipment and recreational woodworking equipment. So here is the proposed replat. You can see the two lots here with the faint line representing the current boundaries being replatted into one singular lot. So as part of our review, the Planning and Zoning Department would like to offer the following comments. So pursuant to section 1113.39, there are some details that shall be presented on the plat before they're recorded. However, on the survey that was submitted, they're missing. So we just like to see these added to the official plat when it comes time for it to be approved and recorded. So the first one being Part C, final plat boundaries shall include angular dimensions, for example, south 86 degrees, 15 minutes, stuff like that. Part E, the parcel identification numbers of the original tracts and owners' names of the parcel and parcel identification numbers of all adjacent parcels. Part F, radii, internal angles, points of curvature, tangent bearings, lengths or arcs, all easements and right-of-way provided for public services or utilities, building setback lines with dimensions, right-of-way widths and names of all streets within the adjoining final plat. Part G, acreage of all lots being replatted. Part I, the locations and descriptions of all monuments and pins. Part J, when lots are located on a curve or when the lot lines are at angles other than 90 degrees, the width at the building line shall be shown. Part M, required statements and signatures to be affixed on the plat. That's, for example, recorded on this day, witnessed by whoever with the notary signature area. Part C, new lot numbers shall be assigned to all new or modified lots, and numbers shall consist of the lowest original lot number contained within the proposed lots being replatted. So in this case, since it's lots 19 and 20, the new lot will become lot 19A. Also, the proposed paths missing required statements, and then section 1113.44, the replat shall be shown at a scale not less than 100 feet to the inch and on one or more sheets of 18-inch by 28-inch paper. And if the lots have existing structures, we'll need a separate sheet showing an accurate sketch prepared by a registered surveyor illustrating the revised lot lines and outlines of such structures. So, pursuant to section 1221.05, that's the accessory building regulations. Accessory buildings cannot be constructed on a lot without a principal structure, and the maximum size on lots less than 2 acres is limited by the equation, the gross acreage of the lot times 600 plus 120 times 2. So replatting these lots will allow the applicant to construct an accessory building on the adjoining lot and would increase the maximum permitted size from 1,080 square feet to 1,920 square feet. However, the applicant will still need to apply for an accessory building permit. And as part of this review, we routed it around to all the applicable city departments. The public service director said that pursuant to section 1113.44F, he has the authority to require easements of 5 feet minimum to be placed upon property lines of the rear or side yards. However, he does not think that will be necessary. And the city engineer had the following comments. So from the site plan provided, they cannot tell where the proposed outbuilding will be located. Appears to be adequate space for the proposed outbuilding. Recommend the city ensure location meets zoning requirements. He also said there's a lot of trees on the property. Location of the outbuilding could impact several trees. If the property is served by well or septic, the homeowner will need to make sure that no impacts occur to those due to construction, and the homeowner will need to ensure no drainage issues arise on the abutting properties as a result of the work. And finally, we have no engineering objections to this request. We offer the above items for reference and to protect the property owner, the city, and the abutting properties. So for surrounding characteristics, to the north, south, and west is all zoned R87 medium density residential. To the north is currently vacant. South and west are all single family homes, and to the east is currently zoned RR rural residential, and it's currently a farm field. So here's just a visual representation of the surrounding properties. All of this brighter yellow here is R87 and the duller yellow is rural residential. So as part of this, should the Planning and Zoning Commission choose to approve the applicant's request, the following modifications may be considered. First one being the replat shall be revised to meet all comments from staff and shall include the required statements. 2, the applicant shall address all comments from the city engineer. 3, pursuant to section 1113.49 of the Task Code, the replat shall be recorded within 30 days of the latest signature. And 4, the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the City of Pataskala and the Licking County Building Department prior to construction of the building. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Jack. Any questions from the commission? Rob? Dustin?
Do we know why nobody ever built on it? It's not sold.
There's a few lots in that subdivision that have just remained vacant and nobody built on. There was 30 lots originally, probably between 10 and 15 of those are actually occupied.
No question. Okay, thank you. Are you Mr. and Mrs. Liller?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, this is your opportunity if you wanted to make any comments to the commission.
Sure.
If you do step forward,
Yeah.
and I need to swear you in.
Okay.
Do you swear that any testimony you will give in this matter will be the whole truth that you shall answer unto God?
Sure. You asked why nobody ever built on the lot. It was actually, they approached us, Chad Jensen and his wife. They live in New Albany and their child got diagnosed with autism. They didn't want to leave the school district. They had plans to build on it, but of course it never came to fruition because they didn't want to move. I wasn't aware of any of the modifications. I apologize. Things have been a little bit crazy, but we don't have any problem getting any of this stuff straightened out for you guys. And any questions, I've been in contact with Lisa several times as well as Jack, and I've done my best to try to keep things square footed. If you guys need anything, I think they have my contact information and all that. I believe it's also in the form. Nothing.
Okay, thanks. You got a copy of the staff report,
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
did you have any concerns about those modifications that were proposed there? I mean, it's pretty straightforward as far as
Yeah.
documentation and.
Yeah, I agree. And the comments about addressing the stuff from the city engineer, was there anything on there? I didn't read through it here. Yeah, he wanted the building location and things like that, but it wasn't anything as far as the ground that we had to do that I recall. I actually was fortunate enough to be home when he showed up out there to kind of go over it with him. So he'll need to come back out to do a drawing and everything of the lot. Or of the building rather. Is that true? Is it him or a surveyor?
Of the existing building?
Well, no, there's no building there yet, but will he need to be there for, like, to kind of put in a sketch and everything like that before we start building and all that? Or can we just have a surveyor go out and do it?
So for the replat, you'll just need to show the house, and then we
Okay.
can do the replat, and then you can do the accessory building, and that doesn't need to be on the replat.
Okay,
So it'll just be the existing house.
okay, perfect.
Okay, before you leave,
Yes, sir.
questions, Dustin? Darren? Rob? Okay, thank you. So with the information we have, is there any discussion on the application amongst ourselves? Deliberation time, I guess is what I'm saying. And if not, are we prepared to act on the application tonight? And if we are, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve replat application number REP 19001 pursuant to section 1113.48 of the Pataskala Code with all of the listed 4 modifications.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve the application with the 4 modifications as listed in the staff report. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Darren, thank you. Discussion on the motion to approve? Roll call.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Mr. Everson?
Yes.
Mr. Bigelow?
Yes.
Mr. Box?
Yes. Motion passes and that application is approved. Thank you. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting It's probably not gonna be exciting, but.
Are we free to go, as they say? I guess.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Attendance
Thank you.
further attendance is optional.
I appreciate it. I think we're gonna get dinner. Thank you all very much.
Good luck with that outbuilding.
Thank you.
very much, sir.
Okay, on the agenda, then moving forward, item 6. As you saw the notice or the copy of the email from, or about, can't talk tonight, about Rip resigning. Have we heard any additional information? I have not talked with them, but I don't know if we have any other news beyond what's in the memo. Right?
That's all I have is what's in the email.
And I don't know that we really need to accept the resignation. That's kind of the given. I mean, we don't need to take an action on it, vote on it.
That's correct.
Has it been posted?
It has.
Okay.
I know Mr. Kendall has applied, but I don't know anyone else beyond that. I think the interviews will take place the second meeting in October at council. So we should have someone, knock on wood, by November.
Okay. Cool. And I didn't look it up. Do you recall when his term ends? When that term ends, I mean?
No, I think cause what are they, 4-year terms, right?
Right.
So I think he's got like 3 left,
Okay.
I think, cause he was the most recent appoint. Aside from Mr. Begaro, he was most recently appointed.
All right. I might touch on that later, on that topic. But moving on, item 7, excusing absences from last meeting. Gee, I'm on there first, huh?
I'll make a motion, we excuse Rick Boggs from the September 4th meeting.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Dustin, second. Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Epperson?
Yes.
Mr. Bagaro?
Yes.
Mr. Boggs?
I know the tradition is to abstain, but I'll say yes, so we have enough votes.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Thank you, motion passed, thank you. Next, we have a motion to excuse Rip from the meeting, and that again's a formality because he had not yet resigned at that point, so. I will move that we excuse Randall Ripley from the September 4th meeting.
Second.
Thank you, Dustin, second. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Bagaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Mr. Boggs?
Yes.
Mr. Epperson?
Yes.
That motion passes. Next, we need to approve the minutes of the September 4th, 2019 meeting. Everybody reviewed those minutes, and are there any additions or corrections? Then, if not, I will move that the minutes of the September 4th, 2019 hearing be approved as presented. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Rob. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Mr. Epperson?
Yes.
Mr. Boggs?
Yes.
Mr. Bagaro?
Yes.
That motion passes. Anything else on the agenda up for discussion tonight? No? Okay. If not, then I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call?
Mr. Epperson?
Yes.
Mr. Bagaro?
Yes.
Mr. Boggs?
Yes.
Mr. McGowan?
Yes.
Motion passes and we're adjourned.